All right, this is for configuring the audio inputs on the geoDVR. We'll also go through a little bit of the push-to-talk behavior on the geoDVR. Kind of start off with, when you're wiring everything in, the motherboard is set up so there's audio inputs, and there's really one audio input, which is this middle one right here. And then there's also audio outputs. The audio outputs, if you look at, are actually the outside two. If you're looking at it, the mic one that you're most likely be interested in is this far right one as you're looking at it. Once everything is, or once you have, so this is the line out, it's a line in. Once you have the mic in going in, kind of the next thing you want to go to is go to the actual interface itself. As you go to the interface, you click on options up here. You'll see a whole ton of different options that you can select. As you go towards the bottom here, there's an audio options. The audio options, if you want to record audio, and assuming you're plugged into the motherboard on the rightmost plug over there, what you're going to want to do is check this sound card mic in. So once that's checked, as it is here, your audio is pretty much configured. To run a quick test, so the way the audio is set up, this one has push-to-talk enabled. If you have the push-to-talk functionality, basically what push-to-talk does is it only records audio when the button, either on this feature trigger here, is pushed, which is the green one, or when this button on the interface is pushed. Keep in mind these two buttons are linked, so if I push one of the buttons, it automatically presses the other one for me. So if I start, as a quick test here, if I start recording, in order for push-to-talk functionality to work, it has to be recording. Once it's recording, right now, there's no audio being recorded because the push-to-talk has not been enabled. Once the push-to-talk is pressed, for example, if I click this button right here, audio is now being recorded to the video. Once I stop it, the video is still being recorded. As long as this is flashing green, the video is being recorded, but no audio is being recorded. If I want to enable audio again, I can either push this button or I can push this button on the push-to-talk trigger. And as you noticed, by pushing that button, it automatically caused the screen display button to be pushed as well. So, and as you see here, audio is being, actually, ignore that message, let's kill that. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. If you look at push-talk activated and then deactivated, when it's deactivated, the audio says it's not being added to the recording.
And to enable this feature, I think we missed it at the beginning. You do that under the options menu to be sure that the push-to-talk is enabled.
Yes.
So if that is checked, then you should see this option down at the bottom.
Correct. So if I stop recording, recording has now been stopped, and as you see, this button goes away. And this, if you look at the feature trigger, this button should be solid red when it's not recording. As I start recording again, this button will go to blinking that tells you it's recording. If I push that button, it stops recording. Another feature on this feature trigger is if I start recording, I can also drop waypoints straight from this here. So as I push this orange button, then waypoints are dropped. Again, if I push the green button, it's now recording audio. Push the green button again, audio recording has been stopped. It's still recording because this is flashing, but audio is not being recorded because it has not been enabled. If you do not want this push-to-talk functionality, as Jeff was just saying, go up to this options, uncheck this. Push-to-talk is now, this has been turned off. Push-to-talk has been turned off. You will always be recording audio. So audios will always be going in. It's somewhat confusing, but basically think of it as if the push-to-talk is not there, you're always recording audio. Push-to-talk just basically gives you a silence mode if you don't want to be recording audio during the full duration of your data collection.
Now, to clarify, if you do not have any microphones or headsets plugged into the geoDVR, then you won't be recording anything but video in that scenario. But if you do have, your aircraft comm system plugged into the geoDVR in some way, without the push-to-talk enabled, you're always going to be recording what's going on there. So for those that may have some chatter in the cabin that's not appropriate to the data collection needs, you'll definitely want to use the push-to-talk feature.
If for some reason you are not hearing audio being recorded to your radio, I'm just going to go through some really quick settings to verify for you. So that basically what we depend on, the geoDVR firmware runs on a Windows platform. It's a hardened Windows image, but the Windows audio settings have to be correct in order for everything to work. If for some reason something gets changed, it could mess up your audio. So as a quick rundown, if kind of a trick here, if you need to get to the Windows background from the geoDVR, if you click on Windows, go to Allow Window Resizing, and what this does is it allows you to take the firmware and move it around and treat it just like you would a normal application. Once that has been done, if you right-click on this icon down here, go to Sounds, and again I'm going through the sound settings that need to be intact for the audio to work. If I click on Sounds, it'll pop up this little sound box. To check on the recording, you click on the Recording tab. The microphone should be enabled. You should see the green checkbox by it, which is signifying that it's the default device. Assuming this is a default device, if I double click on this, I'm just going to take you through each one of these settings. This is what the screen should look like. It should be named microphone. This is important because we key off this to figure out which one to use. If you go to listen, you should see this is basically the defaults on this screen. Make sure it's always running. Really the screen you don't need to do much with. It should be these settings though. If something is not like this, it could cause issues. Levels is a very important screen. What this does is it gives you the microphone boost. How much amplification you're getting through the microphone, as well as the microphone volume. You want to make sure you can turn the volume down a little bit if needed, but it definitely needs to have some volume setting there in order to pick up the volume. The enhancements tab, for the most part, immediate mode needs to be checked. Everything else should look like this. And under the advanced tab, it should be set to 2-channel, 48,000 kilohertz, or 48 kilohertz audio, 48,000 hertz. Exclusive mode should both be checked. So those are these settings for the most part need to be all this way in order for the audio recording to work on the geoDVR. So I'm gonna close out of that. If I go back here to my screen, take off the disable, it'll put me back to where I was, and you should be all set for recording audio.
And again, if your geoDVR is equipped with this push-to-talk feature, we'll set all these settings up at the factory so that you hopefully do not have to worry about it. But if you find yourself in a situation where it's maybe not working, those would be a few key things to check.